Little America there, one of my favorite bands in the whole world, Indian Summer. And we have the world famous Emily Randle with us. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Danny Lynn. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Are you kidding me? I'm doing wonderful, So I'm not as good as you, being the world famous Emily Randle, but thank you so much for being a part of Sunday Mornings with the Tiki Man. How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for all of your encouraging, uplifting social media posts lately. It's been a great way to connect people and to keep that positivity going, and especially with that tropical theme as well. Thank you so much. And you asked me to be on your show a long time ago. I apologize for not being on earlier.
Yeah.
But it sure is good to be on now.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I try every morning to send out a positive vibe to the world because, good Lord, everybody needs it. And, I've been doing that for 6-7 years or whatever now, and just seem to have a pretty good following of people that enjoy that. So that means a lot to me that I know that you're reading it. Thank you.
Absolutely. You posted a photo of a pelican, and it was a little bit before I played at the Island Fever Showcase at the Surf, which was a wonderful event that just what an amazing, not just the music and the artists, but the Isle of Iowa Parrot Head Club that puts it together. And our late great friend Bart Mason had invited me also several years ago, so I was glad to make it. But the pelican, Tom Shepard wrote a song called The Pelican in honor of Bart, and we got to perform that for the first time. So that video is on Facebook, and it's funny. I've always loved the pelican, and Tom sings about pelicans flying on the wings of the wind with no care in the world, and it's just a beautiful tribute to Bart. So it's very interesting how everything's connected.
It really is. I just love the whole family that we're all kind of involved with, everywhere we go. And I remember when Bart was putting that whole thing together, and we had him on the show, and we talked about it. He was so excited about, this is like the coolest thing that's ever happened, and he was so excited about it. And he's going to be dearly missed in our Trop Rock family for sure.
Absolutely. Well, it was a sort of a reunion to see folks there, and I haven't been back to Meeting of the Minds since I performed on Peter Mayer's Symphony by the Sea in 2019, and then I haven't been to Key West since then. So it'll be a nice. I've played Meeting of the Minds, I want to say, since 2004, 2005, off and on. And so it'll be really a great reunion for a bunch of us. I do know that some folks were going to come and aren't able to. Totally understand with the coral reefers. Yeah. It's a layer of vulnerability there. They are all amazing musicians and so nice. Yeah. And I can see where it's not just flying into a city and performing and leaving. It's an extra element of exposure for them. So I totally understand the conservative take on that. But Rob Hill, Bill Connolly on PHIP, they've done just an outstanding job for months, keeping everybody informed and on the processes, protocols, and also on where the artists will perform and how. And I really, my thanks go out to them. I'll be part of my visit in Key West is going to be at the Casa, thanks to them. Yeah.
Well, we had Rob Hill on the show a couple of weeks ago, along with B-Man, and behind the scenes, we're all working towards the same goal. I mean, we know, because we didn't go last year either. We did our whole show virtually, and because we felt like it was. We just felt like it was a bad move for us to go, so we didn't go. But we wanted to keep our show going, so we did it all virtually. And thank God we did, because we wouldn't be doing live videos like we're doing with you now on the radio and streaming on YouTube if we hadn't have done that. But the main thing is we know too many people in Key West that are good friends, and Key West Chris and Danny Hoy and all that, everybody down there. Mm-hmm. And we just felt like it was a little irresponsible for us to go, so we didn't go. But we did have him on the show because behind the scenes, everybody's working towards the same goal of keeping everybody safe. And the biggest thing is getting the information out, letting everybody know what each of us are doing, and trying to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's I agree, but you'll be down there this time, is that right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've got the we got the fifth Tiki Man Radio Songwriter Showcase Key West bound 5 years. I can't believe we're going into our 5 years. And we're going to be over at Dirty Harry's, and we're moving from the Tiki House over to Dirty Harry's, and 53 artists over a 4-day period. So we're looking forward to that.
Holy smokes. Well, that's awesome. And congratulations. It just shows that when you're putting in those years and at work and you're building something, it's just going to continue building. So congratulations. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about you. Everybody knows that United States Army Band, you've been doing that for how long now?
I hit 18 years in July, and I want to thank you for your family's service. It's your daughter who's in the service, is that right?
Yes, she just recently retired out of the military, so she's got her time out of it. Yeah, my daughter Julie, thank you for that, and thank you. But yeah, that's all she's ever known is the Army life, and being out here with, let's say, people that are not as structured is a little bit of a challenge for her.
Yes, it's a transition, and it's interesting because the Army doesn't move quickly. The process takes a while, and it's interesting because you're very young, so of course your daughter's very young, and the concept of retirement, it's a real blessing to commit yourself to your country and to the service. And then when you retire, Uncle Sam commits back to you. There's a lot of musicians, and I was a civilian musician for a long time before joining the Army strings. And for the last 8 years, I have been in the operations department. For the last 2.5 years, I've run the operations for my unit. We have 265 soldiers. The inauguration was extremely stressful.
Oh, I can imagine.
So I'm not playing the violin. I haven't played the violin for the Army since 2013, actually, was the last time. So when you see me, people think I live in Key West and that I play violin constantly. No, it's just just a couple of gigs that I have videos and photos of. Most of the time I'm at my desk in camouflage. So long story short, I can't talk about it a whole lot, but I will be retiring at 20. And my health is part of that picture. It's been a long road, and there's some development, so I need to take care of myself. I'm just very fortunate that I get the support that I need, and Randle has worked very, very hard for her unit, and I'm glad I did.
Sure.
It's a real privilege. So what's interesting is my unit, all the musicians wanted to continue performing during the pandemic, but couldn't. And certainly couldn't make money. And so I'm glad that virtual platforms are still relevant, but they don't replace the connection of live music, concerts. That's still something people are very hungry for. So that's a good thing. But what a blessing it was for me to, my unit, I got to say, our Army band in the DC area was the hardest working military band in the country. I will fight you. my other buddies, and for the inauguration, very interestingly, there were only Army musicians on January 20th. And of course, January 6th impacted a lot of that. Not only were we planning for supporting the inauguration during a pandemic, this is before the vaccines were available.
Sure.
But then the perimeter was expanded for safety. And so very interesting. It's been an interesting road, Danny, but most people who know me in my desk area, in my camouflage, a lot of them have never seen me hold a violin. Wow. And then when you see me at Key West, those folks don't know that, Sergeant Major Randle was the, chops buster, laying it down and telling people what to do in the Army. So it's very interesting. I'm really looking forward to coming down to Key West and letting my mind kind of maybe relax a little bit. I'm looking forward to playing with certain artists and even just seeing people. It's funny. I know you just had my buddy Roger Bartlett on, and he, funny enough, I think it was Meeting of the Minds 2018, I think. I rented a condo in the Truman Annex, thanks to Craig and Cindy Tellard. They're just awesome. And I needed a roommate. Guess who it was? It was Roger Bartlett. Was
the man, the legend.
And he, every morning I got to, I'd come back from working out and put my makeup on, and here's this amazing guitar in the living room. And he would do a different style. He would be plucking bluegrass one day and doing jazz another day. And it's just like, who gets to listen to Roger Bartlett while they're getting ready for the day? And he was really a fun, wonderful buddy to have throughout that week. And of course, I'm super happy for him with his new album out. It's just great to see how well he's doing.
Yeah, he's going to be coming up immediately after you are, and so I'm like, we both agreed that you should go first because you're Emily Randle, and ladies first and all that stuff. But he's such a humble guy, such a great guy, and I'm so excited to have. He's going to actually play in our songwriter showcase in Key West, and the new album is fantastic. I think it's interesting how this came together because, like you, I'd been working on trying to get Roger on, and he's been busy as well. So both of you came together at the same time on the same show. And it's funny, I was talking to him about he's got some jazz tunes on this new CD. And he was like, well, it's not really tropical, this, that. And I'm like, those are my favorite, right? I love jazz. I always went to Jazz Fest and violins and fiddles, and I love piano and all that stuff, So it's really come together nice. And I think that's on traditional radio, trop rock radio stations, if they just play the song about the beach, they're missing out on so much great music. And I'm so glad that here, where we call it Coastal Americana, that way we've got a bigger umbrella. And it's really just all happy music, make you feel good. But he is a master at this whole jazz thing, too.
Yes, it's interesting. There are a couple of musicians on. I'm glad you said Coastal Americana, because trop rock is still sort of a genre that the layperson is getting familiar with. Yeah. But you're absolutely right. I think really the musicians that perform on the circuit, I would say, a lot of them do have a huge background that is comprised of bebop or old time music or different genres, certainly. But it's really the listeners and the house concert hosts that they have broad musical palettes, and they're really, to be honest, the best live music patrons and supporters. If it wasn't for them, they didn't want to hear it. And so Roger Bartlett's a formidable jazz musician. But there's a couple of us. I actually minored in jazz at Cincinnati Conservatory. I had my butt handed to me. They were not. It was a trial by fire. They were not nice to the violinist. They would get me on the bandstand and I would just have to jump into some crazy Charlie Parker head, and I better not get lost during the drum solo. So I became a very strong jazz musician at that time because of that environment. So a couple of others are, James White is actually a very capable jazz musician, but somebody you wouldn't expect. John Patty is, I think he's completely underrated in almost every way. Sure. And he just so happens to be a really very well-educated and very skilled jazz musician. Yeah. So part of our scene is improvisation-based, certainly. But you would know, most of what John Patty does is not traditional jazz. But I think Roger's new album is a perfect example of I think that, yes, on the one hand, the jazz influences, but on the other hand, it's evocative. He sings, it's very romantic and funny, and some of it's instrumental. And I'm just really impressed by Roger. He's definitely not a one-trick pony. He's very versatile. And I'm really glad he sang. I love when he sings his own stuff. Yes,
absolutely. And I was talking to Chris Bellamy last night, and he's been dabbling, and he was sick for a little while last year, and he started playing some more jazz. And he was now here's a guy who's been playing music for 45 years or more, and he started taking jazz lessons because he was intrigued by it's a different thing. And he would try to explain it to me, on the guitar and all this stuff. And usually when Chris Bellamy is playing, people don't even know how he's playing all that stuff he's playing, right? But for him to say, I love it, and I wanted to learn more of it, I thought that was, I just love that side of the artists that we're, friends with and get to hang out with, because they They're all very talented. I just don't like to put artists in a small box. I know they're when they're doing house concerts or they're playing in their local town or their local bar or whatever, they're doing really cool things, and I want to hear some of that.
Absolutely. It breaks that, I would say, fourth wall. I think classical music suffers greatly from that. Jazz kind of does. There's an old Simpsons cartoon, Bleeding Gums Murphy with the jazz station. I think their slogan was 27 people can't be wrong. It's very niche. You're really not, who are you connecting with? And when I would play with symphonies in the 90s, all those musicians would come and play and pack up their instruments and run into the parking lot and try to beat the audience out of the parking lot. You know what? That's not very rewarding for anyone. And if you play, particularly the violin, you're expected to learn the notes and play them perfectly in tune like a machine. And then guess what? Congrats, you won fourth stand inside chair of the second violin section of this amazing symphony. Sit down, shut up, bring your pencil, play, and go home. There's a kind of a wall, and you're not really connecting. Whereas with particularly the house concert movement, which is wonderful, the artists want to share about how their songs were written or funny anecdotes of the cross streams of artists that end up together in situations, and the audiences want to hear about it too. So it's interesting because I think improvisation speaks across any language barrier, but then by the same token, house concerts break down the fourth wall that you can really connect personally with people. As far as improvisation goes, there was one night in Chicago, I'm from Chicago, and there's a jazz club called the Green Mill, and where Capone used to hang out. It's got two doors, right? It's got a front door and a side door, and he used to sit in this in the L corner, so he could jam. He could escape, right?
Yeah. Well, you never know. You gotta get out of there quickly.
You never know. No, I mean, we're pretty hyper vigilant Chicagoan.
Yeah.
So anyway, they would have a house band, and they'd have an artist who would play two sets, and would finish around 2 a.m. And then there was a jam session. After that, it's like, Saturday, I wouldn't get on stage till 3:30 in the morning. And then what you would do is you'd play till 4 or 4:30 in the morning. You go have breakfast, the sun comes up, and you go to bed. But one time I was on the bandstand for the jam session, and the pianist was from Greece, and the alto saxophonist was from Italy, and neither of them spoke English. And the three of us had to find. We ended up playing John Coltrane's Au Prévave together. We had to figure out what song we could play, and it sounded like we'd been together on tour for a year, and they didn't even speak English. So I love how music connects that way, particularly improvisation. But yeah, like we're talking about with those personal connections of telling the story behind the songs and the variety, instead of kind of being pigeonholed into I think there's so much more to say that there's any sort of Buffett influence. It's very interesting. I'm trying to think of another artist who has spawned such a spectrum of connectivity.
That's very cool. I traveled, I was in the corporate world for 25 years, and I spent a lot of time up in Chicago at some of those old speakeasies. And, you can take the tour of the speakeasies up in Chicago, J-Man. And
you sure can.
So that's really, we have a chocolate bar here. If we ever get you down here, you get to see it. But we like to think it's the world famous chocolate bar. But it's a 18-foot long bar. The whole place down here where the chocolate bar is and where the studio is inside the chocolate bar was inspired by those speakeasies. I wanted people, when they walked through the door, to be like, holy crap, I didn't know this was here. And I originally started out putting black and white pictures on the wall or whatever, and then people were like, oh, I want my picture on the wall, and it kind of took over after that. There's like 450 pictures on the wall, but it was kind of inspired by those old speakeasies. I love the speakeasies up in Chicago and all that good stuff.
It's a crazy undertow. I appreciate I know we'll segue to it at some point for my music. There's a song called Laverne that I wrote, and it's about my mother, and she passed away in 1984. I was only 11 years old, but she really was my formative Chicago connection, and she was funny. Like now there's like, it's the thing to be true crime.
Right.
Like, to be interested in that. Like in the 80s, not so much, but she was. When I was a little kid, she took me to Al Capone's grave, and his gravestone had to get replaced constantly because people were defacing it, breaking it, writing things on it. I remember I was about 8, Thanks, Mom. Take me to go visit Al Capone's grave. That sounds like fun. Are we going to go to Stuckey's and get a pecan log roll?
Oh, no. We're going to Al Capone's grave today.
Yeah, I'm like, and so we saw that, and she would tell stories. My grandfather, her father, had run into him a couple times, and one of Al Capone's favorite hobbies was to stand on the top of his buildings during the winter and throw coins to the children in the street that were begging. But he would heat them first. He put them on an open flame, and he would throw them, and they would catch the coins, and it would sear them and brand them because it would get stuck to their skin and burn into their flesh. Nice guy, right?
Yeah. Right.
So anyway, gangsters are a real thing. Chicago's more than Tommy guns and pizza and that sort of thing. But that seems like kind of a funny tangent. But speaking of real stories in real life, Laverne's an interesting song because it isn't a trop rock. It's more of a 70s throwback type song, and it came to me. The lyrics came to me in one fell swoop. Actually, I was playing a weekend festival for the Wounded Warriors with Dave McKinney, my buddy who lives down the road in Richmond, Virginia. And,
there's another jazz player.
Got up at 4 a.m. and just the words just came to me all in one, and it's a true life story about how she was raised and how difficult her childhood was, and she did tend bar at a place called the 10,000 Horses, and she did tend bar at a place called the Flame, which really did burn down, funny enough, and it was called the Flame. But it's a privilege to get to put into the real world personal songwriting, and a lot of artists, we're allowed to run the gamut, right? We're allowed to, Roger, I know on his album has a song that he tributes to his mother. They don't make them like that anymore. And Tom Shepard can be very personal with his writing, but he also wrote Djibouti. With Djibouti.
Yeah, and Flamingo Shoes.
On, so like we run the gamut where we kind of we take our artistic license, I guess you'd say.
Well, how about this? Let's play Laverne, which is off of the album. I believe it came out in 2016. Does that sound right? A girl of my dreams.
That's right. That's right.
There you go. All right. Well, let's play this, and I'm going to kind of put you off to the side here, so it'll just be a video playing while we're playing the song. But this is Emily Randle with Laverne, which, by the way, Roger Bartlett said play. Okay?
Yes, he did.
There we go. All right. Here we go.
She worries too damn hard inside her head. Her father says you're nothing like your brother was. But how can she live up to the dead? Laverne goes off to college, away from the church, and towards all these things that break her heart. The jobs that never come, and the men that never stay. But she knows those things can't break who you are. Laverne only wants to make him happy, whoever he might be, that part of her unseen. It's a strange small part of me. Laverne tends bar at the 10,000 Horses. She used to at the Flame till it burned down. It's a smoky dive, jukebox, no windows, down Roosevelt on the other side of town. Her marriage family fall to pieces, but she tries to solve that puzzle every day. And every night she closes after midnight and too many beers. He'd struggle and slur, "Where's Laverne tonight?" And I'd have to say, "Mike, you know she's not here." Bill held the torch for her in school. My father he'd be if life had gone his way. They danced all night. She was such a good girl, but he knows she's the one that got away. Laverne only wants to love and be loved, whatever that looked like from day to day. And diary, she's the one that got away.
There we go. Beautiful. Beautifully done.
Great song.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, you guys. I like the crowd cheering. Thank you for that.
And the crowd goes wild. Yes. Yeah, we didn't get a chance to test, so whenever we're playing the music, when we play a music during an interview, whatever, I got videos rolling on the YouTube. So, I just love that whole, and it probably, as a kid, when I was in school, I played the saxophone. So that's probably where my love of, jazz came from, and it's kind of followed all the way through all these years.
Do you still have it? Is it hiding in your home somewhere?
No. I should pick it back up and go get me some reeds.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's a brutal thing with the reeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful if you picked it up. I'm hard-pressed to find anybody that says, yeah, I quit and I'm glad and I sold my horn or whatever the instrument was. Most people regret putting it down. But I get it. It's a life. You have to make that money. And also the problem with being an adult, like if you picked up the horn, what you would think is you'd hear in your adult ears the chasm between where you were at your best playing and where you are like right now. So when you're a kid, you can blissfully play into the abyss, right?
Right.
So, but when you're an adult, you're like, I can't stand myself. So it's hard to get over that hump of, you know what? Just hang in there and keep going. That'd be great if you played again, though, Danny.
I know it followed all the way through. Even whenever I got into rock and roll, and I was more drawn to like Bob Seger because they have the horns, they have the piano, a full
Turn the
band.
Page, man.
Yeah,
that's such a smoky horn line for that. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I see Roger's in the green room here. He's coming up next. I'll go ahead and bring it in so he can at least say hi to you here. Let's see if we can. There he is.
Fancy.
Hey.
Hello.
High tech. Ha! Hey, Roger.
Nice to see you.
I was telling her that was your song you picked. You was telling me about with Emily with Laverne, and
great song.
Yeah, we was talking about jazz this morning.
Actually, I've been watching the interview, so I'm up to speed. Her album that Laverne is on is a really excellent album, but she and I are similar in that being a musician, I like a lot of different styles of music, and so does she. Mm-hmm. And her album that Laverne is on has every style of music that you could imagine. It has metal songs, jazz songs, folk songs, and I like that sort of thing because,
sure.
I like all different kinds of music. So if you go on iTunes, look up Emily Randle and buy that album. It's a great album.
Yeah, absolutely. And
so working on a new album too, I believe, right? Aren't you working on a new record?
Well, thank you for your kind words. I'm gonna go the single route. I have 2 singles. As a matter of fact, Roger, oh my goodness, do you remember we weren't roommates that year. It was Meeting the Minds. I came to your room at the Casa I think it was 2017, maybe. Golly, is it that long?
Right.
You know how songs just kind of marinate for a while. So I had come up with the verse and chorus for Where the Sidewalk Ends, and you played it with me, and so I finally finishing Where the Sidewalk Ends. So that's going to be released at some point.
Where the Sidewalk Ends.
You're where the sidewalk ends. Yeah, you broke up on us a little bit, but I got the gist of that. Yeah. Well, real quickly, and Roger, we're going to come to you next, but I just wanted, we have the technology where you guys can say hi and see each other, which is a rare thing these days. So I want to be able to get you to say hi to her. But Emily, where can everybody get your music, follow you, and all that stuff? And tell us real quickly, will you?
Thanks, Danny. And it's great to see Roger. He's got all his instruments. I only have the one instrument there. For Meeting of the Minds, and I'm sure Roger will have an opportunity to go into this. Although the current coral reefers aren't coming down, we have original coral reefers coming down.
That's right.
It's fantastic that Roger's hopefully Roger remembers to sleep and eat and drink water, because he's going to be playing his butt off down there. So catch Roger where you can. And Keith Sykes will be there. So Keith and I know Roger will talk about this too. Maybe there is the Back to the Island Society having these concert opportunities at Margaritaville, and so on Wednesday of Meeting of the Mind week, Wednesday from 8 to 9, Keith is playing, and I'm going to be joining him at Margaritaville on Wednesday night. He's playing Wednesday and Thursday night from 8 to 9, and things have shifted a little bit, because Thursday night I was going to go be with Peter Mayer Group, and now they're not coming down. So, all people perform at the same time. It's hard to choose who to play with. But
sure.
on Thursday, there is this year at Meeting of the Minds, one really great new thing is the Kelly McGuire's Lighthouse Songwriter Showcase, which of course was at the Lighthouse Court for many years. It's going to be on the big stage for the first time at the Casa, and it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 11 to 2. And a couple of us kind of roving sidemen are going to pop up and down. John Patty's one of them. I'm one of them. So I'm really excited. I won't be there Friday. Saturday I'll be there starting with Mike Nash. I can't get there till like 11:40, so I'm going to miss Heather Vidal and those things. But I'll probably be there for Mike Nash, Brent Burns, and Latitude, my buddies that I never see. Latitude, love those guys, on Saturday. But I'm very excited about Thursday at the Lighthouse Showcase. The very first artist to go on.
Oh, very nice.
Is Carrie Welling. Now, she's in Nashville.
Yes.
Singer-songwriter. Never been to Key West before. Mike Carpenter's West Aretaville outside Columbus, Ohio. It's a great house concert series, and he featured her this past summer. Carrie is her writing is super interesting. She's fantastic. So I'm going to play with Carrie on Thursday. Really looking forward to that. My buddy Jimmy Pappas and I'm going to play on his Saturday morning set at 10. Jimmy's the kind of guy I'm glad I didn't go to high school with, because we both would have got booted out. For some reason, he just kills me, man. We just get in trouble. He just cracks me up. And his wife Shelly is like also my BFF. They're family. So Saturday morning at 10, I'll be with Jimmy. And that night, 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, another buddy of mine, Erica Sunshine Lee, I'm going to play with her at the Casa. She's unbelievable, and another writer who writes very tender, personal songs, but also very, very funny and very pointed songs. She runs the gamut. And finally, on Sunday of Meeting of the Minds week, I will be around noon that afternoon. Rob Hill runs the All Stars show at the Smoke and Tuna, which that's kind of a home away from home at the Tuna. So that'll be Sunday afternoon. And I really hope to, come up and say, hey, hope to see people, pop in and support other musicians' sets as well. It's going to be a really vibrant, busy week for everybody. So thanks for the opportunity to say hey and talk to you. It's going to be busy. I hope I get to see, I'll come find you and we'll have a cheers.
All of the artists you mentioned, Erica Sunshine Lee, Roger Bartlett, all of them, Mike Nash, all of them are playing our event as well, which will be at Dirty Harry's, 11 to 7, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So hopefully you can pop in and say hi to everybody and say hi to us while you're doing your busy week as well. But it's going to be fun. We're going to be glad to be back down there. I just want to thank you for taking the time to come on Sunday mornings with the Tiki Man and hanging out with us.
Thank you, gentlemen. Always fun. Thanks, Danny, so much. And it's just a pleasure to talk to you. And thanks for all you do for all the artists, just to get to know people and share about what's happening. Really appreciate it. And I'm going to stay tuned. I'll chill and kick back and listen to a feature with my great friend Roger Bartlett.
Well, there you go. We're gonna play another song right quick, which you are playing on, which is our good buddy Key West Chris and Island Ladies, and then we're gonna go back to Roger. All right. So thank you so much. All right, we'll see you down in Key West. Okay.
Thanks, Danny.